Cool. Before even we start anything, sis, I want to say assalamu alaikum, my sis.
Walaikum salam, brother.
Welcome to RealityTeam TV. Finally, we can make this happen.
We made it this year, like before
Absolutely.
2021 is
You know what I mean?
We made it.
You know, before the year ended, absolutely, we made it, man. Welcome, man. I'm
Alhamdulillah.
so happy to have you, man.
Happy to be here.
How, like, even before anything, how's your day going? Like, how are you feeling this week? How's your day going?
This week's been
Yeah.
good.
Mhm.
Literally, yesterday I finished up a contract. So in the day, today I'm a freelancer and I do project management as my main contract. So it can be quite intense. I work on a lot of creative projects. A lot of people think poets can only be poets and that we don't have other lives.
It's true, yeah.
Unfortunately, poetry don't pay the bills. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
got to do the grind and yeah. So I've had a lot of different contracts, but the one I was doing now was like working on a global campaign for Ericsson. Back in the day, you might remember Sony Ericsson.
Sony Ericsson.
Phones.
Hello.
Yeah.
Happy to get TV.
Yeah, so I wrapped that up and I'm starting something new next week. But in the meantime,
Alhamdulillah.
working on some other poetry stuff as well.
And everything that you're navigating through, everything that you're doing, things are going smooth.
It's going smooth. I can't complain. Like
That's
obviously
really good.
we have bumpy rides, we have
Absolutely
things that get in our way, but it doesn't stop us from continuing with our goals. No.
Exactly, man. And even before we proper get into it, we was talking about football. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like literally, this is the first time obviously I'm knowing that you used to play football.
I did.
Can we speak a little bit more about even like your football journey first of all? Like start off with you said you started playing from the age of 9.
Yeah, growing up, I love sports. I was always in teams. So like back in primary school, I was that tomboy girl that used to play with the lads.
I used to have quite a few tomboy friends, man. They're cool, man. You're growing up. You got usually like boys say playing with boys and whatever, but sometimes it's actually nice to have even like a girl who's actually like love or have the same passion as you, and sometimes it's good to get them involved, man. Mix it up, you know what I mean?
100%. So I used to actually play like on our school breaks at lunchtime and stuff, and then there was an opportunity. I think I was like 9 years old when they said to me, "We're looking to get 5-a-side teams for a league to compete against different schools." And each team needs to have 1 girl, 4 boys, and a sub as well.
I like
and
that,
I happened
man.
to be that girl, and I happened to be the girl that scored the goal of the tournament too.
The goals, banging in the
so
goals,
I got in quite young, like with the talent in football.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I was like 2000. I had the opportunity to play like in the Nike stadium, so Millennium Dome back in the day.
Absolutely, Millennium. They had like a little Nike, little AstroTurf, little stadiums in there. People used to do freestyles in there, or little 5-a-side pitches.
Yes, So I had opportunities. Like one of my coaches was like connected to like Chelsea girls. One of my cousins even coached like Rachel Yankee in Queen's Park. Yeah, the one that played for Arsenal in England.
Yankee. Shout out to Rachel Yankee, man.
Big up,
Very, very good at football.
So I had opportunities. I guess the closest I got was training with like Millwall girls when I was in uni. Yeah. But they were like division team. But again, for me, it was never about being pro. Like
just about playing and loving the game. Yeah.
When you're African as well, like and then your family are just like, what's this?
Absolutely,
like, a girl going to play football as a career.
Absolutely.
It's not happening.
It's not happening. Basically, you go back in your studies or do something. Absolutely.
This is it.
Like, we've got this stigma, obviously, like, we all know, our parents, they'd rather us do other things, go into education and, the classic saying. Yeah. But I feel like it's even, can you imagine, like, let alone as a boy, but let alone as a girl, to come to your parents and tell them, no, I want to play football. So I feel like certain parents, they take that even a bit more like, no, you get what I'm trying to say. So 100%. How was it for you when you were trying to play football? What did your parents say?
It was never going to be a career. I done it for fun, if I'm honest. Me and my brother got like a year and a half between us, and he was like training when I was younger, and he probably was going to go down that route, as every young lad's dream is, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But for me, it was just about playing fun, doing a bit of competitions here and there. Yeah. And I stopped and started. Like I used to do 11-a-side, do a bit of cup games here and there, but all like low league, nothing pro. Yeah. And then obviously the first time I started playing in hijab was like my uni years when I started covering and practicing. Yeah. FA said it's okay to play with your scarf, so I still continued playing. I was making that transition to hijab, so I weren't like fully like head to toe at that stage.
You was right into your transition.
Getting there, exactly. But then eventually I was like, I don't think I can keep doing this. So
was it like when you stopped? Was it like a personal choice from you first and foremost, or obviously there was other factors that made you really stop? Obviously, like you said, you was going through a transition.
Competing, but I was still coaching. So that's another thing I used to do. I used to coach young girls and also girls that are only comfortable playing in a woman-only environment. So I used to do like indoor training for them, and just a bit of training there. And then the young kids absolutely love that. So I got like one of these qualifications.
Yeah.
So I remember like in my final year of uni, I must have been juggling like coaching, 2 jobs. I was just like, how many people can say I finished uni debt free? I can say that alhamdulillah I managed to, just because I worked and I juggled things on the side. But
so these people actually exist. People like you actually exist. You're like a unicorn.
Yeah.
You're the first person, wallahi, in my life to actually to actually say that. Like, I literally left uni debt free.
There you go.
Yeah. Sitting right next to a unicorn.
It was hard. You know what? I was kind of lucky. Like, I come from like a single mother household, so like, like they have all of these like fees, and they say to you, you can get a bursary, you can get a grant and stuff. And I personally don't deal with loans and interest for religious reasons. Yeah. So I didn't go and get like a loan. I worked my way, made sure that I was able to cover my grant and cover my bursary with my fees, and then I just made sure I didn't move out and get that hefty fee. So I stayed in London, went to Goldsmiths, in New Cross, kept it all a bit local. And
so guys, you hear, it is possible.
It's possible.
It's possible. So it's just literally how you navigate through the situation, because I feel like with this loan thing, which is understandable, because like certain people come from households, maybe they've never really seen that amount of money, is the parents are not really earning that much. So it's like certain people, once they start filling in the application forms for these unis, like the eyes light up when they see the big sums that you can apply for, you get me? So it's like,
you got to make it work. Obviously, it might have an impact on your grades, that you might not get that ace first star necessarily if you ain't got time to put in as much work as you, because you've got to work and pay your way, right? So I didn't come from no like fortune. I didn't get no handouts other than the fact that I got a little bit of government support, and I topped that up. And obviously you live off your basics, you get by and whatnot. So I've had that like hustle mentality from a young age. And actually I didn't want to go uni initially. I remember
you didn't?
After I didn't want to go straight away. Like my head was all about community development and like charity work. So like when I finished college, I was like, oh mum, no, I'm gonna go like I'm gonna go Africa or something. I'm gonna do a bit of like projects and see what I can do to help like communities like in the motherland. She's like, nah, if you don't go uni now, you're never gonna go. And she's probably right. I'm like, you know what, it's true, because like if I do go to a different country and I feel comfortable out there, used to say I won't come back and stuff, and I might neglect my studies.
It's true, because sometimes, like, a lot of people know, sometimes you got some of these beautiful places, even though, like, we like, as one of the sons from the motherland, like, as we know, sometimes you go back home, and it just, the vibe and everything just captivates you, and you start thinking, should I stay here and do some more work? So Mumsy was right, man, absolutely was right, man. She was right.
I got through it. They almost kicked me out after my first year, though. They were like, listen, you're not doing your courses. And I don't know what it was with my course. It was like interesting on the perspectives as they do, right? Like international relations. I like to know about what's going on in the world and current affairs,
man. To know what's going on
and
around
our history
as
well, like so there were some interesting modules that I did, like like Africa and a global political economy, like learning about China, obviously international relations, things like that, like knowing like different isms, like from anarchism to fascism,
from different corners of the world.
But what I didn't like is sometimes you didn't get the modules you wanted to do. Like you find yourself in courses or in classes with people from like history, politics and stuff like that. And some of the modules are like too like European politics. I'm like, I know what's going on in these bits. I don't really care. I don't want to have to study it.
You want to study the other corners of the world that you really don't really know about, that you like to know more about, innit?
But what I like about uni is it's away from the curriculum, and you're forced to go and read up on things. Like I learned a lot. I'm originally from Cameroon, although I've always lived in London. Like I started learning things. I said to Mum, why didn't you tell me all of this? Like growing up. It's through my research and reading that I've actually learned a lot about like what goes on in the motherland, the history, the colonization. Like Cameroon, obviously, like uniquely bilingual, colonized by the Portuguese, the French, the British. All of this, like a lot of people don't know that. Like
there's a lot of and obviously, if you don't, what I realize as well, like the order we get as well, if you don't either take responsibility in terms of like, you know what, I want to learn more, because obviously, thank God for the internet and all of these things. Now there's a lot of information out there. But if you're talking about studying education, for me, I always tell people, do not. Obviously, you can get taught certain things, like you said earlier. A lot of education in this country, I realize, is based around history, around European history. Most of it, anyway. Like, if you really want to dig deep in terms of where we come from, you got to say you really need to do your own research. What I realize, or like try to ask certain people about the education system. You shouldn't really rely on to give you the information that you need from the motherland or from our country that we're from. You get me? That's what I realised as well.
Like, what if you look at we're currently in Black History Month and stuff like that. Although I always say we shouldn't limit our history to 1 month. Like, what the hell? But what did we actually really learn? Actually dropped. You know, when you get to GCSE and you get to pick humanities subject. Do you want geography or history? I said I'm doing geography. You know, I'm not doing history because. Firstly, I like geography. I'm an outdoorsy girl. You know me. I'm traveling. I'm on mountains and whatnot. I like to know like about communities, how to get about certain like places. Also, like I'm interested in the stuff like earthquakes and natural disasters and the impact on communities and stuff like that. So
I did geography too. So
I'm bear trips as well.
Yeah,
you know the field trips.
You know, man. I never need to say much. Tell them, sis. You know. Yeah.
But with history, I was like, what are you guys actually teaching me? World War One. Henry VIII, Queen, you know what I mean? All of this, I was just like, nah, forget it. So
the Matilda time, the Tudor times, all of these things. That's like you grow up and you're like, you start to realize even as soon as you leave school, like, hold on, this history stuff, Henry VIII doesn't really. It's not gonna help me with anything. This history, learning this history in my head, it doesn't really help me with anything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like my first high school was like I'd say 80% black, right? Yeah. So they made a bit more effort to teach us about Black history in high school. Yeah. And like when Black History Month came, they were regularly telling us stories. That's the typical stuff like Rosa Parks and all of that. You know, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and stuff. But you have to go away and say, you know what? I need to read Malcolm X's biography. I need to read about his life. You know, and you know when I was younger as well, like people were like, "You're black, but you can't be Muslim," because I never used to cover or practice. Like I happen to have a Muslim name.
Just a bit louder, please. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
But they used to say to me, "Oh, you know, you're black." And you can't be Muslim, people used to say. I was like, what?
That's ridiculous.
I was like, Islam's a religion, not a race. I said, have you heard of Muhammad Ali? Was he not black and Muslim? Have you heard of Malcolm X? Was he not black and Muslim? And then they're like, oh yeah. So this is like the younger days, right? Younger days. And then now it's like, okay, I literally look the part, so they can't. They start thinking, oh, you must be from Somalia then or something. I'm like, Somalia, the only country in the motherland that has Muslims. Are you feeling okay? Yeah. Then they start to slowly educate and understand it's not. You're just not just Arab or Asian, and then they realize there is also that black Muslim community, and there's a lot of history in the motherland with Islam as well. And obviously there are people from different religions and backgrounds and faiths, but people live in this box. They're not taught this. You see,
used to when I was a bit younger. When I used to get the same thing when I used to go to school, because I went to school like in Dagenham, like East London. So when I used to go to school there, predominantly it used to be like back then. Now it's more multicultures, mixed up, a lot mixed up. But a good few years ago when I used to go there, used to be predominantly obviously English people and stuff like that, because it's an English people kind of area.
Cockney,
yeah, exactly. So like quite a lot of people when I actually used to tell them, I'm Muslim, that Wallahi has to get the same thing. Yeah. I didn't know black people can be Muslim and stuff like that. But when I was a bit younger, I used to just obviously give them ignorant answer because I never used to know how to. I just used to be shocked, like you know when you're just kind of like rattled basically.
Yeah. Like, huh? It's a religion.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But the older you get, you realize, like you just said, like certain people, they're just like either maybe shallow-minded or they haven't been educated well enough to understand that religion doesn't have colour.
No, exactly. It's a choice that everyone, you don't inherit it from your family.
Yeah.
You've got to go away, do your research, and that's what I did as well. Like I was like, I'm Muslim by name. Like, you know, what am I doing in my life that you know gives me that entitlement to call myself a Muslim?
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you don't pray, if you don't actually believe in the fundamentals of the faith, that there is one God, then how are you like, you know, Muslim? It's not about image. Let's not talk about image. That's all part of the faith. But like,
do you honestly believe it's all about your personal relationship that you've got with Allah?
Yeah, you know, firstly it's Tawheed, right? Let's talk about the pillars of Islam, right? What's the first pillar? The Shahada. If you don't have that declaration of faith, you don't believe that there's one God, and that there's no deity of like worthy of worship besides Him, and you don't believe that in the messengers as well, and the books and all of that, then of course, then you haven't accepted Islam as your religion. You know, like there's people I've spoken to, and they're like, "Oh, I'm Muslim," but then they don't believe in Allah. And I said, you can't call yourself Muslim if you don't believe in Allah.
How do you even, to be fair, how do you even start, to be fair? How do you even start?
You know, I'm not here to denounce people from their faith and stuff like I don't judge. But that's a basic, to understand what it means to say, I am Muslim, you are a submitter of God. So translate that. Are you submitting to God? Are you actually believing in that? Everyone's got different levels of faith, but as a bare minimum, do you accept that and you try to live according to Allah's commandments? Like that's what I've got to say. Like not everyone is gonna sin. No one is perfect.
Absolutely, that's one of my words. No one's perfect.
You gotta try.
Again, you're saying all the keywords. trying and being aware and doing your best to I always say to people, because I think certain people, they don't have, I don't know why, it's sometimes this thought of literally like propagating closer to Allah or to God, like whatever, whatever people's religions are. I feel like certain people get intimidated because I feel like, like the connection with Allah or God, it's like, it's an internal thing. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But I feel like certain people, they feel like they need a sign or something to physically happen to them for them to feel in order for them to feel like, okay, cool, now I'm here. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's why I always try to tell people personally, for me, like first and foremost, just try to develop your own personal relationship with God or Allah or whichever God that you believe in, and then you can move forward from there and you can grow from there. You understand?
100%. Before sorry.
No, it's all
like before I even accepted Islam as my way of life, I said to myself, I am creation, there must be a creator. Right? Absolutely. Everything, there's got to be a higher being. Let's put religion to the side. And if I am going to associate myself with religion, I have to feel comfortable that it's the word of God, that there is guidance in there for mankind. And it's not just exclusive to one type of people. To be Muslim, you should be able to be any form of creation. Absolutely. You should be able to submit to that creator who's created everything. And it has to make sense. And what I love about Islam, a lot of people think, it's just a book of rules and you can't do this, halal, haram. But they don't think about the contents. Islam tells you everything from how you should eat to, to how you should, handle your finances, to how you should greet your neighbor, your family. Every little thing, there is guidance in there. How you should have your relationships, be it, with your family, be it with, anybody. There's guidance in there. Proper. And that you can't get lost. There's always like a justification. When I start getting confused with something, I'm just like, there's always hikmah, so wisdom in the religion. So you go there and you find your answer and you say, okay, that makes sense, you know?
Those moments are beautiful, by the way.
This is it. Like, it's only through reading and research that you start to, like, I'm all about logic. Like, for me, it's like, let me go and get facts. Obviously, people say, you can't prove there's a God. You haven't physically seen him. But it's that presence. You know that there's someone out there answering your prayers and giving you guidance and giving you clarity. And there's just too many miracles on this earth to, like, not believe that there is someone who's put them there. I don't know, something, a being that's higher, basically.
You know what I mean? Where do we even begin in terms of, like, miracles? Absolutely, like... And you see, like, talking about Black history, even going back to Black history, obviously... do you think, because obviously if we go back home, because honestly, sis, I like to always try to look at the bigger picture with nearly everything, so I can make, so different people can look in and have different sayings and have different understanding of different things. So as Africans going back home, even before I say this, yes or no, do you think back home in Africa, that they educate like white people history back home where it is basically like back to front in terms of, like, you know what I mean, like European history or like, that English history? Do they really do they really do they really educate a lot of the European history back home?
I've only ever grown up here in London, right? So I don't know too much about the curriculum, but I do believe they do, simply because of the impact of colonization, right? If I take Cameroon as an example, the presence, it's separated, it's bilingual. You've got the English speaking and the French speaking, and I would say the presence of the French is stronger than the presence of the British Council. So if you go to that's a whole crisis going on in Cameroon right now called the Anglophone crisis, where they're trying to actually break away from the land and create a separate country called Ambazonia.
Oh my God.
And so there's a lot of like internal like conflict. Let's say you can't travel from one part to another without showing documentation. There's like military presence and
all of that is going on within the same country.
All within the same country, So they're trying to break away and become Ambazonian rather than Cameroonian. And
that's crazy.
And have their own stance. But you know what it is? It's a corrupt country, like a lot of countries in the motherland. But we've had the same president, Paul Biya, in power since before I was born. Like, I think he was about like in the 80s or something like that.
You're sounding like my twin flame right now. Can I ever tell you something quickly as well? Obviously, like people on camera as well, in case certain people who are watching this interview have not watched other interviews that mentioned this as well. You know about our president in Uganda.
Yeah.
You've heard of that as well. Yeah. He's also been in power for 26, I think it's coming to 30 years or something like that. Yeah. Museveni. Yeah. And Cameroon, it's just that's another similarity that I've got with our president.
Even more recently, when they had elections, like a family friend actually was up. Everything was going good. The next thing you know, they're under house arrest. And something mad happened. And then they ended up basically
it's their family friend.
Same person.
Yeah, even back home, a family, his family, nearly everybody in his family are here. But he went back home to try, to try to get into politics, try to do something different. They beat him up. He was in hospital. They put him in prison.
Yeah.
His wife, literally, and certain family members who might watch this later on down the line,
Yeah.
they know exactly who I'm talking about. His wife literally had to, to fly back there. Luckily, his wife had a few, sometimes you might have a few little connections back home or whatever. His wife had to fly back there to literally bail him out, to fly him here, literally.
See it there.
Yeah, it's actually crazy, isn't it?
Ransom, all of these threats and stuff. Yeah, I know. I could talk about stories I've heard of things happening back home. A lot.
Trust me, they are crazy.
I've lived here like all my life, but I've only been to the motherland like 3 times in my whole life, which is bad. I always tell the parents that they should have brought me back when I was younger. More, because like I've got that British identity now, like because that's how it is when you lived in one place all your life
for a very long time.
You're connected to that.
Absolutely,
but that doesn't mean I forget my roots. Like I know, like my culture, like originally like Fulani, that's my tribe. Like I know I don't speak the dialect too tough, but when I did go back to the motherland and spend about a month there, started picking up on a few things in certain cities, but typically everyone is speaking English and French regardless. So you
just ended up speaking anyway,
this is
English
it.
them as well.
This is it. Yeah. Probably more French, because I'll say French is the mother tongue. I don't even like saying that's the master's tongue, isn't it? It's not even mother tongue, really, is it?
No.
But we say that because my mum's from the French speaking part. But
okay, so you speak quite French fluently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could do this interview in French if you.
I wish I spoke French so we can even go back and forth in French. Even like when I watch football, obviously, the French football team, the national team.
Yeah.
Originally, there's quite a few, players.
How many in that French team is actually white French? I think even amongst the white ones, like Griezmann, for example, I don't think he's French.
Talk about it, sis.
Yeah.
Trust me,
they're
innit?
African. Like, literally.
That's why even when they won the World Cup, like if you know, you'd say Africa won the World Cup.
Africa won. This is
Africa won the World Cup. France never won the World Cup, man.
Early time, and we've seen a lot of these footballers comment.
What?
We are Africans when we are losing. We are Africans. We are immigrants. We are Muslims. We are whatever.
And when we're winning,
we are French. We're in that country. Do you know what? I used to actually go France every summer as a young child because I've got family like in Paris and stuff. So that was like my holiday, going to Disneyland, chilling with the family and stuff during the summer holidays.
And the older you got, what happened?
As you know what, when I started practicing and learning about the likes of Jean-Marie Le Pen, Nicolas Sarkozy, and all of the rest of the French, I was just like, this country is highly Islamophobic and racist, xenophobic and everything. I was just like, I don't want to give to this country. Don't get me wrong, I've been there many times. I think the last time I went was just before the pandemic. I went to watch a football match. PSG against Lille. It was a league game and stuff. So I love my footy, right? So and we got a good deal and just went to chill.
Big up to PSG, man. They're doing big things in France, man.
So I'm a Barca fan and they've taken Messi, so now I'm still following them because I like the trio. They're like my favourite players like in Europe. Like I love Neymar from when he was in Barca, and I love Mbappe because he's just a young talent as well, right? And he's half Cameroonian, half Algerian too.
Oh, I didn't even know he's half Cameroonian as well.
Yeah.
You see? And you've got your favourite trio right there. Right there in PSG, man.
But he's supporting what?
France. You know what I mean? I actually didn't know. Obviously, I knew it was Africa, but I didn't know which origins it literally had.
Cameroon and Algeria.
Okay. Yeah. And since, there's a lot of things going on around the world, Obviously, ever since the pandemic, there's always, ever since I was born, there's always something going on around the world.
100%.
But specifically, over the last 2 years, per se, over the last 18 months, like all of us know, because of the pandemic, a lot of things are going on around the world. And what I want to ask you, you get certain people who look for for ways to connect to either God more or to learn about themselves even more. Certain people go through those processes during difficult times, basically. Yes. You understand? Yes. Some people, they look for answers during difficult times. And obviously, what advice would you have for certain people out there who are going through difficulties, but at the same time, they want to get closer to Allah, and they're looking for different ways. What advice would you have for them, and which ways, should they use to get closer to Allah?
Do you know what? Are we talking about people of faith or
people? Yeah, people
Because if you're an atheist, you ain't gonna think about I've been created, I'm gonna search.
Let's talk about the atheist first. Yeah, let's talk about the atheist first.
Well, the atheist, I've just got to say, look around. How do you think you came here? And you know, do you really believe that there is nothing and that you just live and die? Like I would say to them, just look around you.
It's true.
Like look at your experiences as well. If you need fact, look at experiences and things that, you know, is it really all coincidence? Is it all really universe? Is it, you know, just ask yourself these things. Do you sincerely believe that, or is it because you're an all or nothing person and you want to shut the concept to avoid you from having to do that research and finding out things that you're uncomfortable with? Yeah. Because it will lead to uncomfortable conversations. I've had many conversations with atheists. Like I got approached for marriage by an atheist at one point.
Ooh, how did that one go?
And I was just like, I'm Muslim, you're atheist. How is this going to happen? Yeah. But he's like, I'm Muslim too. I'm like, no, you're not, because you've just declared that you don't believe in God. Yeah. So I was like, you know, let's not even have this conversation. And I was just like, what is it that makes you so sure you don't like believe that there is a, you know, creator? I was trying to understand this process.
Understand this process.
And he's just like, if I don't see or feel anything,
that's what I said
it's
earlier.
Not real.
Some people look for the external or to like,
Yeah. And I said, okay, then I don't know what there is that's going on in your life that you feel that there isn't things that you are seeing, that, you know, you tell me about all these like near death experiences you've escaped, and you know, just look around you at nature, look at the sun, look at the moon, look at the miracle associated with a mother giving birth, basic things like that. You know, even scientists, the amount of scientists that have come to Islam because they're like, Islam already confirmed this over 1400 years ago, and it's like, how can human put this in scriptures? It's narration. Obviously we know our prophet, peace be upon him, was illiterate. He didn't write it, so it was never, you know, it's been preserved. Like obviously Quran has been translated in many languages for people to understand. But we know that it was always original recitation. We know about the process in which it came through, and it's never changed. Like look at the English language. We've got Shakespearean, old school English, Latin, whatever, and over the years we've got colloquial English, British English, American, Canadian English.
Things evolve.
It evolves, right? But with Arabic, even though you've got dialects in different countries, the Fusha, the classical Arabic, hasn't changed. And you know, you'll always go back to that source. So you have to read the scriptures, you have to study things, you have to look at different religions. Because I went through a journey when I started questioning. Like I didn't start seeking religion because I was low. I was actually all right. I was young, wild, whatever, doing my thing. And for the first time I started questioning in my late teens. Okay, why am I supposed to be Muslim? I had my own journey. I could talk about this for a while, but it wasn't because I was in a low place and that I needed to find God. I always believed in God. I always had what we call Tawheed, and I believed that there was the oneness of God. I was created by, you know, a creator, and I am the creation. But I needed to know, is Islam really, really the one for me and for mankind, for everybody? It's got to be that religion, right? And it was literally through research. I used to go to like, probably my book, there was a piece I wrote, How I Embrace the Deans. I used to go to like halaqas and khutbas and, you know, listen to what it was. And I wanted to pray one day. I was like, I need to pray. I just want to ask God for guidance. And if you pray to God alone and you don't associate partners to him, he will listen to you and he will respond to your call. So that's what I did. And, you know, it's mad because I thought straight away I need to pray the Islamic way, but I forgot. Like when I was younger, I got taught like the positions that you've got to do in Salah, but then I forgot like what I had to say. And then one of the girls who was like leading the Islamic Society, she just grabbed me and she's like, "Are you Muslim?" I was like, "Yeah, you know, I think so." It was a weird thing, and she's like, "Salam alaikum," and I was like, "Oh, walaikum salam." It just was not normal. It's not how I used to converse with people. Because people already denounced me and said I'm not Muslim, so I was just like, whatever. But through that, I read English translation of the Quran for the first time in my life. I started learning more about the religion, the scientific proofs, the science of the hour, all of these things. And slowly, I was like, all right, cool. So like, I'm stubborn. I don't want to just change my way of life. And then there was this chapter in the Quran called Al-Bayyinah, which is Surah 98, the clear evidence. And it talks about how people were not going to leave their ways until there came to them clear evidence, a messenger from Allah, like reciting purified pages and scriptures with clear evidence. Like, so obviously, naturally, as humans, we're all about facts, show us something concrete.
Make me feel it.
Yeah. So obviously those generations like the Salaf and back in the day they had the Prophet in their presence. They had the messengers telling them directly the same message. It's always been one God. And that's what you should be doing. And that's where people get led astray, and they start to create their deity that isn't a God, and it becomes music. It's like shirk. We talk about associating partners with God. It might become idols. People worship people, right? People
absolutely
have deities in so many forms. Like you go to some places of worship and people are praying to a statue, and we have our prophets there. There's literally a message in every messenger story, like about Prophet Abraham came to destroy the idols and remove like polytheism and stuff. So that's what it was for me with Islam. There's like an explanation and justification behind every scenario you experience and everything that isn't listed or clear, because as they say ikhtilaf, like there are things where you will have to take the opinion that's closest to the sunnah, or there's no like concrete right or wrong, but you can take the guidance and look at people that have studied the religion in depth for years, go to the scholars and see like the analysis, and then you take your decision based on that. Like if I wanted to drink alcohol because there was no other drinks available and I was really thirsty, I know I'm not sinning, and I know that I can do that. I know that the religion is made for ease, and there is an opportunity to do good and do bad, and strive to live by these legislations that have been laid down in the Quran.
Absolutely, man. And like for me, I don't know, I feel like you see the journey, because I feel like in everything you do, sis, obviously you win, there's like the beginning and the end. But like every wise person says, the most important journey is not the beginning or the end. It's literally what's in between. To go through that journey. You get what I'm trying to say? And personally, for me, after speaking to so many people experiencing different things as well, I realize it's the journey that puts people off. You get me? And I don't know what that is. What do you think that is? It's like
As humans, we don't like change. It's as simple as that. We're scared, innit? We're set in our ways. So even me, I was scared. I had to set myself a date for like, when I'm not going to wear hijab. I can't. I was a tomboy. You think I like dresses and covering? I was like, this is not going to be no quick thing. I set myself a date. I preempted a lot of people. I was like, look, you might see me. I'm going to be changing my ways a little bit. I'm going to try this, because I was like, I can't be Muslim and go into a rave no more. I can't be representing them. To be honest, the hijab, if anything, maybe I wasn't too ready for it when I did set myself a date for it. But it not only was I able to like obviously be in a position to pray because I had it on, but also it prevented me from going to a lot of places I probably shouldn't be in anyway. And for me, it was like helping me along the journey. Obviously, you experience your Islamophobia, your looks. My mother stopped talking to me when I started covering up, so it's been it wasn't something that was smooth, like let's just say my transition, but I did it anyway, and I'm grateful for all my tests and struggles that I've had along the way, because it's only made me stronger in my faith as a result. And I don't see myself ever going back. It's like they say with Iman and faith, like it's almost like the roots of a tree. Once it's planted, if you have sincerity in your beliefs, it won't go. You might have low faith, you might go for periods where you're like not trying as hard and doing the bare minimal, but if you sincerely believe, you will keep going, and you will have days where you will just rise and give it your all as well.
I believe that as well, honestly.